Yo, what up, people? Welcome to episode 2 of the Doing Everything Different podcast. If you listen to the first episode, you may be able to tell the difference with the audio. We finally got it figured out thanks to my little brother, Joshua Lars. Shout out to him. He is an audio genius. So I got some good feedback from episode 1. And I am just excited to be able to kind of put this content out, put this content together, and then be able to kind of showcase and talk about our experiences. The whole concept, my whole philosophy is to get something you never had, you must do something you never done, which is why we call this the Doing Everything Different podcast. I really like the concept of being able to showcase the process and how we build everything and how it's not perfect and now how it's not going to be perfect in the beginning. As you can tell from episode 1 to episode 2, the audio is a lot better. So we're just looking to kind of just level up. Things are never going to be perfect, but it's a matter of just actually doing it and starting the process that's going to help with just being able to turn an idea into reality. And so that's what I want to talk about. So today's episode, we're going to talk about visualization. And it's funny. It's a funny word, right? It seems kind of like just kind of foo-foo, right? Just like up in the clouds. Like what are you talking about when you talk about visualization? But I think visualization is so important. And then for those of you that haven't heard about visualization, it just means being able to have that vision, right? Have that kind of what you want to happen before it happens, and you have that picture and kind of the outcome that you have in your mind before it actually materializes in the real world. And visualization has been so important for me, and it has been so vital in every kind of step of the process of what we've done, because before you start something, when you have an idea, all you do is have a vision, right? You just have this idea of what you want to do, but it's not in the physical world and people can't see it. So it's important that you see it, right? And I put a whole campaign together about what it means to have a vision. If you haven't seen the visionary commercials, you can search it on YouTube or go to my Instagram page. I did a 59-second clip about what it means to have a vision. Basically, I have a shirt on that says visionary spelled backwards. And I talk about how, when you have this idea, when you have this concept in your mind, that people aren't going to be able to see it, right? Because it's in your head, like you see the vision, but it's hard to sometimes articulate to people that don't understand it, right? They're not going to see it exactly how you see it, even if you try to explain it to them. So just understanding and having the overall picture and overall vision in your brain. And as long as you see it, that's all that matters. Like you have to work and work and work and work in order to turn that vision into reality. And it takes time. It takes so much time. I just remember when we got started, in the beginning, it was like I wanted to do this whole doing everything different movement, right? I wanted to showcase the positivity and talking about positive quotes before this was trending, before it was cool, before anybody was kind of like up on this stuff. And I just remember the closest people to me were laughing and just saying like, nobody's trying to hear that positivity, right? And it was hard because there was a time where it was like, I seen what I wanted to do, and I seen how I wanted it to be, but it wasn't clicking, it wasn't connecting, it wasn't like sometimes you need to, sometimes the world needs time to catch up to your vision. Sometimes if you have a vision and you're forward thinking, you're thinking about things that are going to happen later on in the future, right? And so I think it's just so important to be able to stay true to that vision and be able to understand what that vision is for you, right? And make sure that you stay authentic and true to that. And so, in today's episode, I just kind of wanted to talk about how I've been able to apply like visualizing my goals, and how I've been able to actually visualize things and they've come to life, right? And it happens time over time over time over time over time. Like every single time that it happens, not everything comes the way that you see it, right? It always ends up being kind of looking a little different than you originally thought, but it always kind of comes to pass, and that's kind of been my experience. So I just wanted to talk about, like I said, a couple of times when that happened, and I think the biggest one for me, especially in the beginning, I like to just kind of start like a long time ago, right? I like to start kind of from the oldest thing of what worked and then kind of like bring it up to date of the newest thing, right? So you can see, kind of show the time span behind it, and that it's been kind of a duplicatable thing throughout this whole process and as we've been kind of building out. And so the first one was when we first got like our first A-list celebrity and partnership and collaboration. And what ended up happening is, this was in 2009, I believe, 2009, 2010, something like that. We had really started off screen printing in 2008, started off the business in 2005, airbrushing, and then in 2008, we kind of pivoted into screen printing. And so we started to build relationships, right? Relationships are so important. Like building and establishing relationships is vital in order to turn anything into reality, because things happen through people, right? Things happen through people and those relationships that you have with those people, and being able to build relationships with people that, don't always or aren't always able to do things for you. I think that's what has kind of helped us, is being able to say, okay, this person may not be able to do anything for us, but we're still going to treat them exactly the same as everybody else, right? And that we're going to treat them as if they were that, that artist or that celebrity or that people or that person that we wanted to work with or get that account. And I think that has been a very a key factor into how we've been able to build relationships, right? We focus on establishing relationships with everybody, not just the main people that we think we could get something from. Because I've learned by doing that, number one, a lot of times the people that you think can't do anything for you are actually the ones that actually make the things happen. And even if they're not, sometimes people get into positions where they can do it, or sometimes they know somebody, or it's good to have that circle of kind of people and relationships that can like vouch for you, right? And the more people that say, oh yeah, I know that dude, like, oh, he's super cool, he helped me with this or he helped me with that, you just never know when that's going to play out, right? You just never, ever, ever know when that's going to play out. So in 2000, like I said, 2009, 2010, we had some relationships with some different people, in particular a celebrity stylist. His name was EJ King. And EJ, we built a relationship with him. We met him in Vegas at the Magic Trade Show, and we had some of our custom like gear on. And I remember he came up to us and he was just like, yo, this is dope. We ended up building a relationship with him. And at that time he was doing stuff for, I think, Day 26, Diddy's group or whatever, for making the band. And I just remember we just hooked him up with a bunch of stuff. We like just hooked him up with like a ton of stuff and treated him like he was the artist, right? We just gave him a bunch of stuff and like just established that relationship with him. And we just kept it throughout the years. We stayed in touch. And I think we met him in like 2008 or something like that, or 2009. And then in like around 2010, he started working with Chris Brown, right? And he started doing a lot of work with him. And so I remember we like would send him some stuff to try to get it to Chris. And I think the first time we sent it to him, nothing happened, nothing came from it or whatever. So it was like, I think it had to be 2010. So 2010 BET Awards is in LA, right? And I think it's in June every year. And so we were planning on going down to the BET Awards, right? We were like, okay, we're going to go down to the BET Awards and we're just going to go out there and just like network, right? We're just going to go out there and then kind of like establish relationships and just kind of like print a whole bunch of shirts and then just pass them out. And I remember getting ready for that trip and we were in our garage. And I remember Chris and Tyga dropped a mixtape called Fan of a Fan. And I remember we literally I think it was like a week before we went out to LA, like for a week straight, we were listening to this mixtape, right? We were listening to this mixtape over and over and over and just had it on repeat. And I just remember like visualizing and just saying like, we are going to work with Chris and them. Like we are going to work with them. I don't know what it is, but we're going to work with them. They actually dropped a video and we were watching the video and there was this scene where they were outside and it was a pool scene. And I just remember it just looked like so much fun. And I was like, we are going to be there. Like, I am going to be there. I don't know how it's going to happen. You know, mind you, the stylist that we were working with, you know, we were cool with him, but he never made an introduction or anything. Like, we didn't know Chris at the time. Like, none of that stuff. There was no real connection with it. This was just something that was in my mind that said, this is where we need to be. Right. And it was kind of one of those things that are just like markers in life. Right. And I was just like, this is something that I want to accomplish. Like, we are going to be there. And I remember listening and watching this video over and over and over and just kind of like putting it in my mind, like, we are going to make this happen. Like, we are going to make this happen. I remember repeating that to myself all the time. So we ended up printing some shirts. We printed some stuff for our brand. We ended up doing some custom pieces for Chris, because we were like, okay, if we can give the stuff to EJ, and then if he could give it to Breezy, we were like, okay, cool, that's perfect. That's a perfect connection. Not thinking that we were gonna meet him or anything like that. And so we do all this stuff. We're listening to this mixtape. We're like watching this video over and over and over. And mind you, we're in a garage and we're in Richmond. I mean, we had just started maybe like 2 years ago. 2 years ago, and we're still like on a manual press, and we're like printing up the shirts, and we're like having fun, right? We're starting this business. We already started this business, this screen printing business, plus we're doing like our own thing. We were doing like custom wood chains at the time, and so we made this whole like custom jacket for Chris. We made these pieces. We printed some shirts of D&D Collections was what it was called at the time. And so we head down to L.A. We go down to L.A. We're networking. We're building relationships with people. And we were out there. Nothing really happened, right? We just kind of met a few people, this, and this. We were trying to link up with EJ, but he was kind of busy and this, and this. And so we were down there, I think, for like 4 days. And so we got in the car and we were headed back home. And coming back from LA to the Bay. And so we got in the car, we're literally driving home, and EJ calls us and was like, yo, I'm at the studio if you guys want to stop by. And at the time I was just like, man, let's just go home. Like, we're already on the road, like we'll just catch them later. And my business partner was like, nah, bro, we gotta go. Like, we gotta go there. And so we ended up getting off the freeway, and we went and met him at the studio. And so we got all the stuff, and we walked up to the studio, and EJ was like, yo, only one of you guys could come in. And so my business partner was like, here, you go in there. You have all this stuff situated, like you represent the squad. And I think that was kind of, that situation was big to me, right? Because it just showed real leadership skills, where he could have went in there, or it was a toss-up of who was going to go in there to meet him first. And he was confident enough in himself and confident enough in my ability to say, hey, you're probably better qualified for this certain situation, so you go ahead and do it outside of his personal gain. And I remember that really stood out to me. I'm like, oh, wow, okay, that was like a big like leadership thing, where he was just like, go, just handle it. You represent us. Like, this is the whole brand. This is what we're doing. And so I ended up going in there, and I was sitting in like the waiting room chilling, and I gave EJ the stuff. And I remember Chris came out, and it was crazy. I had been like, my dad's a musician. My dad played with Tony, and Eric Benet, and like Janet Jackson. So I've been around like famous people and stuff like that as I was little growing up. So I've never been like starstruck or anything like that. But I just remember when he came in the room, he had the chain on that we made. And that was like the first feeling where I was just like, bro, like, this is crazy. Like, we made it. Like, we're in our early 20s. And I just remember always looking to this dude and like seeing him on this platform and this, and this. And I remember seeing him come in, and out of that hard work of us just like grinding and hustling, him wearing the piece. And he came up, showed us love, always showed us love, like super cool. Like, bro, I got y'all. Like, whatever you guys need, like super, super cool. And I remember he posted a picture of him wearing the jacket and the chain on his Twitter. And I just remember met him at the studio, and then we left, and we were in the car, and I was just looking at the picture. My girlfriend at the time called me, and I was just like, bro, this is crazy. Like, we never had anything, any type of celebrity endorsement, any type of like nothing like that. And so we're in this mix of like, dang, we like really gave him this custom chain, and he's wearing it. Like, we're just these two kids from Richmond, and he's like really wearing this stuff. And I just remember it was such a big like moment where it's like we were listening to this album, like we said this, and this, and like it's here. And so I remember we went back home, and it was so crazy because I was like, I met him, I met some of his folks, some of his family. I met his security guard. I started building a relationship with his security guard. If you guys know my backstory, you know how I've built a relationship with a security guard who really got us in the door with Chris. But long story short, we ended up building a relationship. We got home, and I just remember like, I would try to hit him up because he gave me his number. We would try to hit him up, and then, he was busy, right? So he didn't answer the phone. And I think a couple weeks went by, maybe a month went by, and I remember I was at home in Richmond, and I got a call, and I was looking at the call, and it said Chris Brown on it. And I was like, oh, he must be pocket dialing me, right? So I was like, nah, this ain't real. And so I answered the phone, and he was like, yo, what's up, bro? He was like, hey, I've been thinking about it. I was talking to Pat, which is his bodyguard, and he was like, yo, I think, like, I want to do this, like, collaboration with you guys. Like, let's do this collaboration, and I'm thinking about this, and this. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm like over here trying to write the stuff down of what he wants. He was like, I got these ideas. I got this, this project. I got, this idea. Let's do this design. Let's do this Be Different kind of fame. And he was just throwing all these ideas, and I'm like writing it down. And so I'm like, all right, cool. We're going to put it together, right? So instantly, as soon as we got off the phone, I called the team. I was like, bro, this is crazy. Like, come on, we got to work. So we just got in the lab, and we started putting all this stuff together. And then we scheduled a trip to LA. Right, so we scheduled a trip to LA, and we designed these shirts. We sent it back and forth. He liked it, so we printed it on all these different color shirts. We put our logo on the sleeve. We did like all this big stuff. So we packaged it all up. We hopped in the car, drove down to LA. I think it was like the next week or something like that. So we ended up meeting him at the studio, and I remember I was nervous because I'm like, oh, this is like our first project. Like, he asked for this stuff and all that stuff. So I opened it all up, laid it out, and he liked it, and he threw it on, and he was like, his cousins threw it on, and he started taking pictures in it, and he was just like, yo, like, I really like this stuff. Like, let's keep building. Like, let's put a whole like collection together and stuff like that. And I just remember in the moment, I was just like, cool, let's go. Like, it didn't even like dawn on me of like what was really happening and what was taking place. And so we hung out for the weekend. We talked. We were kind of like thinking about next steps and stuff like that. And then we head home. I get home, and then the next morning I wake up to like all these notifications from Twitter. And then I look, and he posted a picture of the shirt and was like, tagged us in it. And he messed up the tag, right? He missed a letter or something like that. So it didn't tag us, but everybody was screenshotting it because they knew what time it was, like all our people, and then like started following us, and it was just like blowing us up. And he had it on his Twitter with all these millions of followers. And I just remember I was sitting there like, what the hell is going on? This is crazy, right? And I'm like, this is insane. And so at the time, I'm just like, all right, let's just get focused. Let's stay on it. Let's get it going. And so the next time we scheduled some stuff, and I forgot I don't know if it was an event or something. We went back and forth to LA a couple times and started building a relationship with him. And I remember one time we were going to go back, and we were printing up some stuff to bring to the whole team, right? We did the dead clock. We did all this stuff. That's one of our designs, right? It's all about like stop killing time. So we printed all this stuff. We printed on a whole bunch of different T-shirts, a whole bunch of different colors, and a whole bunch of different sizes. And for some reason, I was like, okay, there was one medium navy blue shirt that we had, and I printed on it, and I said, this one's for Justin Bieber. And I remember saying that. I was like, I don't know why I thought that. I knew Chris and him were like cool and stuff like this. And so I was like, this is for, oh no, I know why it was. So I said, this is for Bieber, right? Because we were going out to LA for a video shoot for him and Bieber. That's what it was. And so I was like, but out of all the stuff that we printed, it was like a medium, right? We had a whole bunch of different colors on our stuff, but it was a medium navy blue that we printed. And I said, this one, Bieber's gonna wear this one. And I remember we go down to LA. we go to the set of their video shoot. And we were chopping it up, talking, and we were like trying to give them some stuff, but they were like right in the middle of a video shoot, so we're not going to give them some stuff. So we ended up like leaving the video shoot. We all ended up like hanging out. We went to the movies afterwards. It was just like a super surreal, crazy experience of just being around this, especially coming from Richmond, having no prior, exposure to this stuff. And so we ended up doing that, and then we all went to Chris's house. And I was talking to Chris about the stuff, and he was like, yo, we're going to take a picture with it. Just give me some stuff. And I remember I gave Chris a red tank top with the doing everything different. And then he picked up that medium navy blue shirt and gave it to Bieber. And they put it on and they took a picture together. And the crazy part about it is like Chris handed me his phone to take the picture of him and Bieber. And at that moment, I was just like, this is crazy. Like, we're sitting here, we're in our early 20s. We've been grinding, no business, just straight networking, not knowing anybody in the industry. This is just straight off of relationships of what we've been doing and like the work that we were doing. And I just remember sitting there taking that picture, and then posting it, and it was just, it went crazy. And that day we were there, and then we ended up leaving, right? We ended up going to, they were like, yo, we're going to Polo the Don's having a party or whatever, a house party. So we ended up getting in the car, and we drive down to the house. It was like up in the hills or whatever. And we all walked in, and we were like, I was like with them, and it was like just a super dope experience. And we were like going through the house, and we were talking, and we were just kind of hanging out, chilling. And it was nighttime. And I remember going outside where his bodyguard was, right? And Pat, and I'm just sitting there talking to him. And I'm kind of looking around, and I stop. And I was like, bro. And I went up to Pat, and I was like, hey, is this where they filmed that video? And he was like, yeah. And instantly, I got goosebumps all over my body. Like, this is, I'm literally standing in the place where they recorded the video of before we knew Chris, before any of the stuff, and we watched the video, and I said, this is where I need to be, and this is where I'm going to be. And I was standing in this place, and I was there with Chris and all his people and everybody else. And I was just like, this is insane. Like, I literally seen with the Bieber shirt, right? And he wore it and posted that. And then I'm sitting here with this, and I'm like I just remember just what is going on. This is just such a crazy experience of just being able to just come from Richmond, right? Like, we came and we just had this idea, right? We started airbrushing, and people were like laughing at us and teasing us and thinking that, you're going to take over the world with an airbrush. I remember people were just telling me that, family members and stuff like that. And I remember going from that to this, and it was just so insanely crazy. And it was just so crazy because it started with the idea. It started with a vision. It started with a vision that I believed, right? It started with a vision that I said, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do this regardless of whatever it is. And these are just little markers to say that, like, damn, like this really can come to reality. And I just remember that was kind of the first big pivotal point that like kicked off our career, because we're in our early 20s, right? We're in our early 20s, and going from airbrushing and being around Richmond and just kind of being local to just printing stuff around the neighborhood and stuff like that, to being able to be on a scale like this was just, it was so much progress that I felt, and it was so much just movement in the right direction, and I was just so happy and thankful to be in that position. And I think that was like a big timing of what it did. And then that kick-started everything. Like, we started working with him, and then we started working with different people from the radio stations, and then we started, meeting people and networking. And another time with the visualization thing, the same kind of thing happened where we met Trey Songz in his camp, and then we started building a relationship with his manager and his road manager, and we gave him a bunch of stuff. And I was like, Trey is going to wear this specific shirt. I think a couple weeks later, His road manager ended up sending me the picture of him wearing that specific shirt. We gave him a bunch of stuff, but I knew he was going to wear this shirt, and he ended up doing it. Same thing with Rick Ross. We met Rick Ross. We gave him a bunch. We gave him like 3 bags of stuff. But there was a red Dead Clock hoodie that I just knew. I was like, he's going to wear this. And I think a month later, he ended up popping up in the 9/11 video wearing our red Dead Clock crew neck sweatshirt. And I just remember seeing it that time, and I was just like, this is kind of crazy, the power of like being able to visualize what you want to happen and seeing this stuff happen time and time again. And it's real. Like, it's real. It's no, like, you could call it God, you could call it the universe, you could call it whatever you want to call it. There is something in this world that helps us when we make up our mind and we work hard at what we want to do, and we don't give up, and our intentions are good, and we're really trying to do something and progress and really develop yourself. Doors open up, things that like you cannot explain, get connected of like, you know, literally when we track it back and we look at the chain of events of how it all happened, we decided that we wanted to pursue this idea, right? We decided that we wanted to go to the Magic Trade Show and spend some money to go out there to network. We decided to leave the Magic Trade Show and be in this casino and stop right here at a certain time as this guy was walking by to see us. Then we build the relationship with him. He lives in LA, which is EJ, who I'm talking about. And then we go back to LA because we're leaving Vegas to go to LA, and then we link up with him, and then we build the relationship. And then the thing, if you just look at the chain of events of how it happened, it's just so crazy, because when you decide and make up your mind to want to pursue something and want to go after it, doors will open up. Things will work. The universe will, like, God will open up things, like things will work in your favor. It'll be like, how the heck did this happen? Like, there's no way, time and time again, I could look back at my whole experience of doing this stuff, and it's just like, there's no way we should be able to, like, we should be getting these opportunities. And I truly believe, and this is just my point of view and my perspective, and that's all I can speak about, but if you are, again, going after what you want to do in life, doors will open. You know, you're not going to go through the front door. You're going to go through the side doors or the back door. Like, things are going to happen where it's like, it's unexplainable. You don't know how it happened. It just does. And I remember, you know, for those of you that follow my story closely, you know, my grandfather was one of such a big inspiration for me. I mean, let me start my business in his house, and just played a huge role in my life, and was like one of my heroes, and like was the guy, right? He was the guy in my life that I just looked up to, and I just wanted to be just like. And he ended up, you know, passing away in my arms and having a heart attack and like dying in the house when we were working on one of our projects that was due. And I went from like 5 minutes to talking to him to like 5 minutes he's gone, you know, and it really showed me how short life is, and how we're not promised tomorrow, and how we need to do whatever it is that's in our heart, whatever it is that we want to do. We need to do it now. Like, we can't wait. Like, we got to get this going now, like today. You know what I mean? Like, we got to start today. And it just showed me that, you know, you don't know what's around the corner. And I think that woke something up in me to like really pursue this, right? Really pursue what I'm doing, really pursue a life that is kind of built on my own terms, right? Like I do what I want to do, you know, and I understand that this is a blessing, right? And I understand that I've worked for this as well. I think it's a matter of being able to have faith and praying about stuff, and then also putting in the work. You know, I used to always think it's either this or it's either that. It's either you put in the work and you don't have to worry about the prayer, or it's either you pray and then don't put in the work. But I found it's a recipe that takes both, right? You have to see it, you have to visualize it, you have to believe it, and then you have to put in the work. The work is the variable. Like, you can see it all day, but if you don't put them actions in, if we didn't take those steps to go to the Magic Show, if we didn't take those steps to go to LA, if we didn't take those steps to constantly evolve and constantly grow, none of this stuff would have happened. So I think this is a two-part, right? I want to get across of like the visualization part and how important it is to see your vision, but it's equally, if not more important, to put in the action. You know, and I think we live in a world right now where we get instant gratification. We pick up our phone and we can get the answers. We can get something delivered from Amazon or groceries within 2 hours. Like, that's crazy. We live in a time where instant gratification, we're looking for things now, quick, fast. But if you're building a vision, if you're building something, if you want life on your terms, if you want to establish something that actually has value, it takes time and it takes work. There's no getting around that. There is absolutely no getting around it. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you do. It takes work and it takes time. And the bigger things that you want to accomplish, the more time it's going to take. The larger the foundation, the larger the building that you want to build, the longer it's going to take to construct. So if you're going through something right now, if you're building out something, if you have an idea, if you are growing your business, whatever it is, going to school, I don't care what it is, just understand it's going to take time. Understand that you need to see it clearly. You need to have that visualization. You need to be able to see it when other people can't, because they're not going to see it in the beginning. You know how many people, my family, my friends, like so many people were like, you were stupid. You want to start a business? And we were starting a business when it wasn't cool. Like, it wasn't like it is now of like, oh, everybody's starting a business. It was like, you're not going to school and you're starting a business. This is stupid, and laughing at us. Like, I remember one of my friends, we were setting up in our garage and I was cleaning all this stuff out, and he went away to some college or whatever, and he was visiting. And I remember it was right before we got all of our equipment and our screen printer equipment, and we were cleaning out the garage in Richmond, and he came by and he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, man, we starting a business. We doing this, this, and this. And I'll never forget it. He looked around and just started laughing and shook his head and walked off and got in his car and drove off. And I just remember, like, at the end of the day, like, for the people that know me, like, I don't give a crap what people say, right? I could care less what people say. Like, I do not care. And so it was just like, I was laughing. I was like, all right, that just put fuel in my fire. I'm like, okay, you're going to see, watch, just watch. And I remember family members, again, you know, laughing at us like, oh, yeah, you think you're going to take over the world and this, and this. And, you know, we just stayed true to our vision, right? We didn't care what people think. We didn't care about the judgment. Like, who cares? Like, who cares? Who cares? Like, a lot of people that I'm talking to are so scared to, like, fail, or so scared to, like, I have this vision that I want to do it, but, you know, I don't want to look stupid, or I don't want to take this chance. Like, who cares? Like, you get one life. Do you understand that in 120 years you will not be here? Like, in 120 years you will not be here. You will not be here. You only have a short, limited amount of time. And so it's just like, who cares if people judge you, right? The only people that are judging you are the people that are not in the game, and those people don't matter. And I said that in the last podcast. Like, the people that are not in the game can't say anything. The people that are in the game working, they're so busy on trying to figure out their own thing, they don't have time to judge you for your stuff. So the people that are on the sidelines, their opinion is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. A lot of the times they're just nervous because they can't do it, right? And they're scared, and they want to take it out on you because they don't have the balls to go out and do it. So all I'm saying is just have that vision, put in that work. You know, it just takes time. Another thing of just visualization, right? In 2015, when the Warriors went to the playoffs for the first time, I think it was 2015, I remember seeing all those playoff shirts, and I was like, we're going to do that. I was like, we're going to do that. We're going to do an arena takeover. I didn't know it was called arena takeover. I'm like, but we're going to print all them shirts in the arena, and we're going to do it for a game. And I remember in 2015, I was so set on it. I was like, yes, we are going to do it, right? We are going to do it. Did not know anybody at Nike, did not know anybody at the Warriors, did not have any connection, none of that, literally nothing, none, no connections at all with Nike, at all. But I said, we're going to do it. I don't know how it is. I'm not worried about the details. I'm just worried about the action and the end result. And I said, this is the end result, and this is going to happen. I don't concern myself with the details. I let the universe, God, you guys work that out. I just know where I'm going, and I'm going to put the work in to make sure I'm ready, so when that opportunity comes, I'm going to be prepared. So fast forward to, you know, it went from 2015, right? And I was like, we're going to do this. And I don't know if it was 2015. I think it was the next season, right? The next year, because they went, this is their fifth year going to the finals. So the first year, the second year. Okay, yeah, so the second year, so 2016, I think it was. They went to the finals, and then we got a call from our radio station connection that has a brother that works for an agency that the client is Nike. And then we do the stuff for the agency. Then the agency connects us with the Nike client. And then the Nike client does some stuff, and then we keep getting closer and closer and closer. And we weren't doing stuff in the arena. Nike didn't have the contract yet. It was still Adidas. So we were printing stuff outside of the arena. We were still doing some good numbers, 7,000, 5,000 shirts, doing all this stuff for the giveaways. But I said, I want that arena. I want Oracle. I want to take over Oracle. I want to see our shirts on every single seat. And I just remember, I just always had that vision in my mind. And January of 2019 rolls around. The vision started in 2015, and then 2019 rolls around, and I get that email from our Nike client that says, "Hey, I got a project for you. Give me a call." I got off the team call and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and lock this arena takeover in." And I didn't know what he wanted. A lot of times he hits us up and he wants 40 shirts or something like that. And so he was like, the conversation lasted a minute. "Hey, Dev, I got a project. We're doing an arena takeover with the Warriors. We're printing 23,000 shirts. I'm going to send you the artwork, and we're going to get you the shirts. Can you get it done? Can you do the printing?" I said, "Done, of course." And the rest is history. February 2nd, 2019, against the Los Angeles Lakers, we did an arena takeover and helped Nike with it, and all 23,000 shirts and all 19,563 seats in Oracle were filled with the shirts. And it's all about visualization, man. I seen it in 2015, and I didn't concern myself with the details. And I told my team each year, I said, "We're getting closer." I said, "Hey, we're getting closer. We're getting closer." And they just laughed at me. They're like, okay. I'm like, "We getting closer. I'm telling you, watch. We gonna be in here. Watch. Just watch. We will be in here." And now, we got the picture to prove it. And me sitting in front of all those shirts, and the thing is, like, I say this because I want you guys to understand, and I use my story as an illustration to show you, right? I think people learn in stories and stuff like that. Like, it's not about trying to sound cool. It's not about bragging. It's about showing that, like, I put in the work. I seen it. I had the idea. I had the mindset, and I put in the work. But I also seen it. So I'm telling you, if I can do this, anybody can do it. It's just a matter, literally, anybody can do it. It's just a matter of just not stopping. Literally, the difference, and that's why I posted that, that Nipsey, man, I always say it, like, that dude was he just was on a different level. He spoke to me in a different way, and I posted a video months ago, maybe 6 months ago, and he said the thing that separated me from other people is I just didn't quit. Like, I just didn't quit. I didn't stop. And I think it's so true, man. It's just, I just didn't stop, right? You just can't stop. You just got to keep it moving. You're gonna come with failures. You're gonna come with defeat. You're gonna come with all this stuff. All this stuff is gonna hit you. All this stuff is gonna hit you in the face. But you got to just keep rolling. You got to roll with the punches and say, all right, cool. Kendrick Lamar said, "Minor setback for major comeback." That's my favorite. And that's just the motto. That's what I live by. And that's why I'm so passionate about doing everything different. That's why I'm so excited to share this podcast and this lifestyle of what doing everything different is. To get something you never had, you must do something you never done. Insanity is doing the same thing over, expecting new results. And so I'm just super excited. We're going to build out a whole entire merch line. We're going to build out a whole collection. We're going to release a collection soon. It was funny, even with this podcast stuff, I'm like, I want to wait until we get this collection so we can have, like, physical products so people can, like, be a part of this lifestyle and have something that represents the concept of doing everything different and something that's a reminder to look at. But I said, you know what? That's going to come. Like, I'd rather show the process, right? I'd rather show the process and, like, look, first episode, audio sucked. Second episode, cool, we got the audio fixed, but we still don't have a merch up. Third episode, oh, cool, we got some product up. Okay, cool, we have a hat or a T-shirt. Oh, cool, now we have the website up. I want to show the process because it's all about having the idea. I see the bigger picture. I know what's going to happen. I see what's going to happen, and I see where we're working towards, and it's just a matter of taking time for everybody else to see it, and I just want to document this stuff and showcase that it is possible and it is realistic. So, I feel like I'm starting to ramble now, and I'm very passionate about this, and I want to keep these episodes like 45 minutes, an hour max. But I hope you guys like this like long form content. I hope it's going to bring you guys value. I hope it's stuff that you guys can apply to your situation and building your businesses and organizations. And I'm just super excited. I love seeing the comments. I love getting the DMs on Instagram. I love like getting emails. Like I love the phone calls. I really like this and building out a community. And I really want to build out this community of like this tribe of people that are doing things different, right? That are building, that are trying things, that are not scared to be different and to stand out. And that's why I really want to like build this whole doing everything different movement out. And, it starts with this podcast. Next, we're going to start interviewing different people and their journey of how they had to do things different. And I just think it's going to be cool, man. I'm really excited about these next, just this next chapter, man. I'm super excited. I think I'm in a good place mentally. And I just want to pass it on, man. And so I appreciate you guys for listening. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I really appreciate the support, the likes, the subscribes, the comments, whether you're listening to this on Spotify, Gmail, or Google Store, Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, wherever it is that you're tuning in, wherever it is that you're watching, wherever it is that you're listening to. Again, I truly, truly, truly appreciate it. And I would love some feedback. I would love some comments on just the topics that I'm talking about, right? I want to start a conversation. I want to build a community of people that it's just not me talking to you, but I want to engage with you guys. I want to be able to open up conversations and do, IG lives. And like, I really want to build this community out and build out a tribe. And so super excited to build this out. And I am excited to post episode 2. And remember, like I always say, to get something you never had, you must do something you never done. Until next time, peace.